Greetings, Earthlings, and any aliens who may be watching from outer space. You know, it occurs to me I should probably stop watching Ancient Aliens every night before I go to bed, because it's not working here. Well, boys and girls, it has been one hell of a week since President Biden was inaugurated. I don't know about you, but I got completely shit-faced that night in celebration. And it was kind of worth it, except that I've been sick ever since. And the question now is, do I do COVID test number 2 or not? I don't have a lot of the symptoms, but I do have this persistent sore throat and cough. So if I start hacking up a lung during the show, you'll understand why. We've got a lot to talk about this week, because God knows, even with President Biden doing more in his first week in office than that fat tub of lard Donnie Dumpster did in 4 years, trying to save this country from the damage and destruction that was wrought under the Tangerine One's 4 years is not going to happen overnight. And honestly, for those of you who are saying, well, he hasn't done this and he hasn't done that yet, could we give the guy a break? I mean, he's written how many executive orders so far? Let's just all take it easy and take a breath and let President Biden have a shot at this. 6 months from now, that's another matter. Then we can take a look, and if it's not working out the way we hoped, we'll start bitching. Now, with that said, I am not saying that we members of the resistance stop fighting. We can never stop fighting. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. I would also like to say something to my friends, relatives, who are of the ilk that if we don't get everything we want from the Democrats, well, fuck them, I'm going to go to a third party because wah, wah, wah. No, it doesn't work that way. I am a lefty. I want capitalism, a stranglehold on the money that has been running this country for more years than I've been alive to stop. I want all these wonderful things that we all want. But I'm also practical enough to know that we're not going to get everything. Why? Well, for one reason, we're dealing with politicians, and I don't care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're still a politician. There are some great ones, and there are some, in between, and then there are the RethugliKKans. We have a 50-50 split in the Senate. We have, we're in charge only because we've got the vice president as the tie-breaking vote. And that's not necessarily going to work for us all the time, because we have a couple of senators on the Democratic side who are quasi-democratic. And we'll talk about them later in the show, because I've just got so much. But let's start the ball rolling with this. While there are people of color in this country languishing in jail cells for the crimes of, being black or smoking a joint or whatever, the insurrectionists, the traitors, the people who tried to destroy our government by storming the Capitol building are being arrested slowly, but they're also being allowed out on bail. Why? When you have people with petty crimes languishing in jails for 6 months, a year, before they even get to come in front of a judge, what the fuck is going on? Is it because they're white? No, that couldn't possibly be it in America. I mean, this is a post-racial country, right? Yeah, right. Do you understand that in this country, bail for a person of color is still generally 5 to 10 times that of what it is for a white person? And it doesn't seem to matter what the crime is. Oh, no, no, no. You can storm the Capitol. You can be partially or fully responsible for the death of 5 people in the halls of our Congress. But, bail's okay for that. I mean, hell, there was one person who was arrested and found only because they were wearing their ankle bracelet. They were already under house arrest. So we're still living in bizarro times. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's see, the pretty little white girl who stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop with the intent of selling it to the Russians. Yes, she can be released to her mother's recognizance, but that's okay, because, she only broke into the Speaker of the House's office and stole her laptop. I mean, if that doesn't make you sick, what is wrong with you? Well, obviously what's wrong with you is you're a RethugliKKkan if that doesn't make you sick, because let's face it, 1 out of 5 of these insurrectionists were people who had served in the military. That means they had military training. So when you saw them going in, and marching in and being assigned to go there, here, there, wherever, they knew what they were doing. I don't suppose that had anything to do with the tours they were given the day before the insurrection by certain RethugliKKkan members of Congress. That's being investigated. We don't know who might have done that, Lauren Boebert. But, hey, what do I know? Oh, God. I'm still trying to figure out, is this a country of laws or one with no laws? I mean, we either have a justice system or we don't. It's that simple. And so far, it doesn't seem like it. I don't understand. You have these motherfuckers in Congress, the Ron Johnson, who's trying to blackmail the Democrats into dropping the impeachment trial of Donald J. Asswipe. You got 2 of the people who will be participating as jurors in the trial, Ted Cruz and the equally heinous fucktard Josh Hawley, will be acting as judges. They are part of the reason this insurrection happened. We don't know the full extent of their participation yet, but I guarantee you, when all is said and done, we're going to find out that a lot of people in Congress, both houses, members of the RethugliKKkan Party, of course, were participating. They were conspirators. Let's get the words right. Traitors, conspirators, they belong in jail, not just ousted from Congress. And these are things we have to fight for. You see, we have a weird thing going. President Biden, in his inaugural address, said he wanted to unify the country. Unity. It's a good word. It really is. It's a great word. But unity does not mean, and I honestly don't think the president means it that way, it doesn't mean we forget about the past. We let it go. Because there can't be any unity if we let the crimes that happened over the past 4 years go. It doesn't work that way. Unity is coming together and saying, you know what? No matter what we believe, We believe in this country. We believe in the laws of this country. We believe in the justice system of this country. And that means if the president, the vice president, a member of the Senate, or a member of the Congress breaks those laws, they pay for it as I would, as you would, as any citizen of this country would. It's really that simple. You don't need to go beyond that. But then we have a Congress with so many of these QAnon assholes in it. I mean, what is it? Marjorie Taylor Greene? What the fuck is she? It's bizarre. This is a woman who was caught making Twitter remarks about the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, in which 17 people were killed. Kids were killed. But, Marjorie Douglas Greene knows better. Facebook screenshots, by the way, demonstrated, they showed a discussion about why a police officer had not rushed into the building, and someone claimed that the mass shooting was a false flag planned shooting. Oh my God, the RethugliKKans love their conspiracy theories. They're all insane and bullshit with nothing whatsoever to back them up. But boy, have they got them. And then again, there's Kevin McCarthy, who agreed with Marjorie. I can't even remember her last name. It gets me insane. Kevin McCarthy, the leader of the minority in the House of Representatives, is a conspiracy theorist. He is one who he spread the big lie that the election was stolen when they all know it wasn't. This creature, Lauren Boebert, who got her GED the year before she ran for Congress. This woman ran against a PhD, but the people in Colorado's 3rd elected her anyway. She is a QAnon ignoramus. She is a fool. She is a conspiracy theorist. And she's got to go, because if you don't think she was involved in the conspiracy to attack Congress, you are sleeping at the wheel, folks. I just, I don't want to be negative. I really don't, but we really have a lot of business to take care of. This past Friday, I guess it was, you had Katie Benner in the New York Times, somebody in the New York Times actually doing real investigative journalism. I don't think I've seen that in years. She broke a story about a gentleman named Jeffrey Clark, who was working on behalf of Mr. Dump to basically twist the arm of the Attorney General of Georgia and the Governor of Georgia, both RethugliKKans, to invalidate their election. Why? Because they wanted to. Now, this guy, Clark, Jeffrey Clark, is a DOJ attorney. Not only that, it should be pointed out that Mr. Clark was also in private practice with Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen. Nevertheless, Mr. Clark, who was called unassuming, and I don't get that at all, because unassuming means modest, it's self-effacing, humble. If you're unassuming, would you go behind the back of your former law partner, the Attorney General of the United States, or the Acting Attorney General of the United States, who is your superior, go behind his back to the president and say, we've got this letter prepared and I can get the Attorney General to sign it that says we're holding an investigation, even though we're not. But we're holding an investigation into the election in Georgia so that we can overturn it. Not that it would have given them the White House, because it wouldn't have, but this is what they were doing. And this guy, Clark, is a criminal. I'm sorry, he is a fucking criminal. He colluded with Trump. And if you don't think this is going to be part of Trump's impeachment trial, you are not on this earth. So you can be with the aliens who are listening to the show. Here's an interesting thing. I've been screaming about the fact that the people who invaded the halls of Congress are domestic terrorists. We have a definition of domestic terrorism in the United States. We know what it is. But guess what? We do not have a law against it. Why do you think these people are being charged with trespassing or stealing things? It's because we don't have a law against domestic terrorism. Sure, if you're a Muslim, we have laws against terrorism from foreign powers and foreign religions, but domestic terrorism? No. We were never able to pass that because the RethugliKKans said, well, then if you pass a law against domestic terrorism, it means you're going to be abridging people's right of free speech and invading their privacy. They don't mind it when it happens to be Democrats or sexual or Hillary Clinton's emails, but domestic terrorists, no. We don't need a law against that. The people who invaded Congress were going to attempt to murder Mike Pence and Speaker Pelosi. They are all responsible for the 5 people who died. But we don't have a law against that. I mean, I probably should remember that next time I want to break into a bank, because once I'm out, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. We have laws against breaking into banks. You don't get charged with trespassing for breaking into a bank. You get charged with bank robbery. But those who broke into the sacred halls of the United States Congress, that's okay. If you smashed down the doors at the Capitol, if you broke into Nancy Pelosi's office, that's okay. That's nothing. Also, in line with this, I'm sorry, I hit my mic again. If I go through one show without hitting my microphone, it's going to be a miracle, but I'm just going to let that go for now. Former President Trump's campaign had paid out more than $2.7 million to several individuals and firms behind the January 6th insurrection. I'm sorry, they're calling it a rally in Washington. A rally, yeah, the rally that led to the march to the Capitol and the invasion of the Capitol by those who were rallying. And the Trump campaign donated $2.7 million to the leaders of that. I just, what the fuck? What do we do with this shit? This is insane. Among the individuals who received money were Maggie Mulvaney. Does that ring a bell? It should. Mick Mulvaney, remember him? Yeah, he worked in the White House. This is insanity. We live in insane land. I know, I've said it before, the upside down. But I mean, let's face it. The Democrats are now in charge of the Senate, right? Well, you wouldn't have known it from the actions of Mitch McConnell or the RethugliKKans over the past week. I mean, McConnell is probably one of the greatest obstructionists in the history of this country. Why? Because McConnell cares about two things. Come on, say it with me. Money and power. That's it. That's all he cares about. But they don't understand that they're not in charge anymore. They were trying to tell the Democrats what they had to do about the filibuster, which was to leave it alone. The filibuster, in case you don't know it, is another one of those Jim Crow rules. It's not a law, it's a rule that Congress has used to prevent the Democrats from, making elections fair, stopping gerrymandering, getting rid of Citizens United. Well, interestingly enough, shortly after the new Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, made an appearance on the Rachel Maddow show, and when I say shortly after, I mean literally during, when Schumer made it perfectly clear that he wasn't going to take McConnell's bullshit, that the Democrats were not going to budge, they were not going to do what they've done for years, roll over and play dead. McConnell caved. Yes, he did. McConnell caved after holding up a must-pass organizing resolution, the one that would establish the new rules by which the Senate would operate and set committee assignments. When McConnell realized he wasn't in charge anymore, he caved. Thank God, or whatever you believe in. It's frightening. It's mind-boggling to me that this crap is still going on. The Democrats now hold the House, the Senate, and the presidency. But that doesn't seem to matter because these people in the RethugliKKan Party still want to pretend that they're running the show. And of course, we have some problems within the Democratic ranks of the Senate. I mean, there's Joe Manchin, who's almost a Democrat, even though 20 years ago he probably would have been a Republican. And then there's Arizona's Kristen Sinema, and I'm not sure what the fuck she is. But they're a little dicey when it comes to going along with the rest of the Democrats. However, in this case, they, after saying that, they weren't sure they wanted to get rid of the filibuster, they sided with their party, and that's when McConnell caved. McConnell, for all his bullshit and his grandstanding, he achieved absolutely nothing. Jack shit. But he made the Democrats wait a week before they could really start doing things like, making sure we had a Secretary of Defense and Homeland Security. This is not good, people. And this is why, as members of the resistance, our fight must continue. It has to continue into the midterm elections and beyond. We do not get a break. I'm sorry. I would love a break. I have been sick for a solid week. I have put off getting another COVID test. I may not be able to continue doing that, but I have put it off so far. And it's, it's made my show longer because in being sick, I miss a couple of days when the show should come out. And here we are. I just don't understand anything because I am a rational human being. And for a rational human being, things should make sense, right? I mean, that's the way it would go, but that's not the way it's happening. For example, this is what I got this morning. Supporters of former president, and I do enjoy saying former president, Donnie Dumpster, filed an amended motion for a restraining order against President Joe Biden. Why? Because they filed this lawsuit saying that President Biden should not be allowed to enact any of his executive orders on the basis that, now listen, this is a good one, that he is not a legitimate president. So after, 60 court cases, including the Supreme Court, that were thrown out because there was no evidence of election fraud whatsoever, but he is still not a legitimate president. This is a quote, and I hope you love this as much as I do. In this filing, they said, the disputed president is hereby enjoined from signing any further executive orders without first submitting the order to this court for approval. This was filed even though these people have absolutely no standing to do this. But it doesn't matter because anything they can do to obstruct President Biden and the Democrats from saving this country from the disaster pit it has become under the other guy, they'll do it. They'll do it. They are fascists. I don't use that word lightly. Fascism is an evil. Fascism is what Hitler was. It's what Mussolini was. And now fascism is alive and well and has millions of supporters in the United States of America. We ain't so united, folks. The lawsuit also declares that the entire 2020 presidential election should be reversed and Biden should automatically, therefore, be out of office and we should get Trump back from Mar-a-Lago because he's the legitimate president. I don't know what planet these people are living on, but it sure as hell isn't ours. And I have a feeling they're not on their natural planet because the aliens there threw them out too. We are still in cloud cuckoo land. 161 million people voted in the election. Joe Biden won the election by what, 6 million, 8 million votes? But that's not enough for these guys. There'll never be enough. You will never be able to prove to these people that the election was legitimate for the simple reason they are buying into the big lie. The big lie being election fraud. I'm sorry, my hat's getting in the way if you're watching the show. For those listening, you don't give a shit because you don't see it. But I'm apologizing for those watching. The Democrats won. I'm sorry. In some of the states where President Biden won, RethugliKKan senators or congresspeople won. But they don't want those thrown out, interestingly enough. They just want the presidential election thrown out. The supposed election fraud that elected RethugliKKans is okay. Never mind about that. Just the president. So I don't know, same shit, different year. I'm trying to find the lightness in all this, guys. So hopefully you'll work with me on this, because I know there's humor, there's insanity, but there's humor in this kind of insanity. You've got, I don't know, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis puking out his censorship and repression bill. Now, this is a racist bill that's directly, he's responding to the 26 million people who protested in Florida over the summer, spurned by the police murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so very many more. Innocent people of color who were murdered by the police. But DeSantis, who is another one who actually did steal his office, his racist bill protects Confederate statues and protects people who kill or do bodily harm to protesters, but could make protesting itself a felony. Last time I looked, protesting was in the Constitution. It is not only allowed, it's mandated that when we see a wrong, we protest it. But not in Florida, and not while Ron DeSantis is running it. Florida is one of the states where COVID-19 has killed more people than in most other states, in many other states combined. DeSantis has been a disaster because DeSantis wants businesses open, so he's pretended that COVID doesn't exist. And, instead of focusing his attentions on relief and recovery, no. His priority is stopping protests. This is the United States, folks. This is happening today. This is nuts. Now, we have a Democratic Congressman, Bill Pascrell of New Jersey. He urged President Biden to terminate all 6 members of the U.S. Postal Service Board of Governors for their silence and complicity in the face of Postmaster Louis DeJoy attempting to destroy the U.S. Postal Service from within. We cannot get rid of DeJoy right now, which is insane. It's insane that this guy holds an office he is not fit to hold, but we can't get rid of him. So you get rid of the people who has supported and enabled him, and maybe we can at least handcuff the motherfucker. And in trying to prove exactly why President Biden needs to add a few more actual justices to the Supreme Court, the RethugliKKan-owned court has decided former asshole-in-chief Donnie Dumpster's breaking of the emoluments clause, meaning he profited off his presidency. His family did too, I know, but he's the one who really should be held responsible for the breaking of the emoluments clause, even though his son-in-law and his Barbie Bimbette daughter are guilty as shit too. But it's moot. According to the Supreme Court, it's moot now that he's not president anymore. So again, I will try to remember that next time I think about robbing a bank. I mean, after I leave the bank, I guess the deed's already been done, right? So there you have Supreme Court logic. Now, I want to end today's show with something that I find incredibly entertaining, and I hope you do too. A Catholic church is parting ways with the Reverend John Zuhlsdorf. I hope I pronounced that correctly, although I don't really care. Zuhlsdorf is a priest who conducted exorcisms aimed at rooting out the supposed election fraud in the 2020 presidential elections that he believes are responsible for President Biden's win. Again, there's no evidence of fraud in the election, but Reverend Zuhlsdorf held an exorcism. He said, and this is a quote, "As exorcists will confirm, the demons are very good with electronic equipment." God damn, I hope that doesn't fuck up my show. This guy's nuts. And he was a Catholic priest, but at least somebody thinks that his conducting an exorcism in Latin, no less, to attempt to get rid of President Biden's legitimate victory is just nuts. It's crazy, crazy Catholic. But this is a guy who denounces Wuhan devil and COVID 1984 and asks readers to send him money. Now, as far as I knew, Catholic priests do not require money. They have their needs taken care of by the church. I mean, they're not Falwells or Grahams or Robertsons. They're Catholic priests. But this guy wants you to send him money for his exorcisms. I have nothing else to say. I mean, I want to thank President Biden for doing more in 1 week than Twitler did in 4 years. And I should amend that. I should say doing positive things like overturning all of Twitler's executive orders in his first week. That's what we needed. And I know I've heard people, resistors, Democrats, who are complaining. Stop complaining. Give the guy a break, would you? I mean, it's not, as I tape this show, it hasn't even been a full week yet. We're doing pretty well so far. I mean, Chuck Schumer is showing a set of cojones that he hasn't shown as minority leader, but as majority leader. In his first week, he's kicking ass. And I'm as surprised about this as a lot of you are. So happiness is, folks. We have a chance to do something. We have a chance to turn this country around. And I'm telling you right now, if we don't all get behind it, get behind the president, get behind the Democrats, and twist their arms if we have to, but we have to keep fighting, and we can save this country. If we don't do that, we're going to end up with one of these RethugliKKKan fascists running for president and possibly winning, who's not as stupid as Trump is. That would destroy us. We cannot survive another fascist president. Now, I know I was going to end with the story of the Catholic priest, but there's one other thing that I have to comment on. Trump, when he left in his little fit of pique because he wasn't going to participate in the inaugural ceremony, he went down to Mar-a-Lago. Well, it seems that a lot of the folks at Mar-a-Lago are not real happy about that. So they've been losing membership left and right over the past week. One of the complaints is that they say the food is shit. Well, of course the food is shit. Donald Trump's there. The catering is now being done by McDonald's. What did you expect? And personally, I would like to send out a thank you and shout out to the folks who rented the airplanes who flew over Mar-a-Lago with the banners trailing the planes that said, "Trump, worst president ever. Bye, Don." And all sorts of wonderful things that, he would have had to be looking at his crotch to have missed. See, this is hope, folks. This is fun. This is where we get a good laugh, which we deserve. Anyway, that is my show for today. I thank you for joining me. I want to thank the people who got me over the 100 subscriber list on the YouTube channel. That's really great. Now let's go for another number. Let's go for 1,000. Subscribe to my show, whether you're listening via podcast or you're watching on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Let's make this show go viral. And let's get the word out that the resistance is not over. We're just beginning. Take care, and I will hopefully see you on schedule next week. Thank you for joining me. I'm Yoni Martin, and I is out of here. Bye-bye.